For once, I want to be the poem, not the poet. Well, I have a response. How do you know you're not? How do you know a stranger didn't see you burst out laughing in a crowd, thought to themselves they swear there was a sparkle in your eye, and recounted to a friend all about you in that moment, comparing thee to a summer's day? How do you know there is not a friend or even an enemy that speaks of you in riddles in their mind on pages of journals, to flowers and the stars and the rain and the ears around them? My dear, do you not realize how poetic it is that you, the one who doesn't believe that ever the poem might just be the subject of so many minds and their musings, dancing along the lines of time and space you can't see? Maybe you're a poet, but most likely you're the poem too, because who better to inspire art than an artist? Okay, hi everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel. I cannot believe I'm saying that. My name is Parvani. You just heard me read an original poem, which is a response to the very famous quote, how do you know, for once I want to be a poem and not the poet. So I essentially wrote a poem for those poets around this idea of admiration, and that we are loved probably or even hated. I talk about riddles, but I suppose we are thought of as poetically beyond our comprehension, because often that version of us is dancing along the lines of time and space that we can't see. And of course, a lot of us are inspired by our favorite artists, subtle ones too, you know, around making somebody smile is art, right? And we think about someone so pleasantly when we see somebody who can make somebody smile. So it was around that. I've always wanted to have a YouTube channel. I want to talk about being 20 something, my thoughts, my confusions, my frustrations, my journeys. I want to capture them. I'll make a confession. I don't feel particularly good in front of a camera that is not this way and I can see myself. So using a back camera, doing this light setup, feeling like, oh, my double chin's gonna show up, my face droops, all my insecurities basically surface. But a huge goal of me, for me in life right now, is to get over myself. Hence this, I am going to be answering your questions. This is track 1 of my poetry playlist. I really liked that name. The first question, and I got this the second time to remember, is where am I from? So I was born in Andhra Pradesh, India, but we moved to England when I was like 4 or 5 years old. So I am from England, the middle of England. I won't get too specific. How does it feel knowing that there's so many people who appreciate your beautiful work? So yeah, that poem, the one that I read at the beginning of this video, ended up like moonshot. It's not insane, I know, but I think it's a lot and I'm very grateful. It got my Instagram account from like 1,000 followers, 1,600 followers, to now like 12.3k followers. So it feels amazing. All I've ever wanted was to be known for my words, but I've only been comfortable and happy sharing my words online the last couple years. So intense, but very grateful. Somebody said, something that inspires you to write. Good question. Everything. I think I read a quote, I think it was by Sylvia Plath, where she says, you know, for somebody that loves to be a poet but maybe hasn't lived a lot of life, what do you write about? And she was like, write about nature and the stars. And funny thing for me is I've had a lot of experiences, okay, maybe not compared to some people, but I've traveled quite a bit, a lot of adversity. I come from like a middle class, low income background, and my family's financial status has been very up and down. So in the context of all of that, I've seen a lot of life, but I do gravitate still to write about flowers and the stars and all of this. So yeah, anything that you look at and in your head the words dance and they want to come out onto a page, that's your inspiration for poetry. But yeah, I guess life inspires me. What a boring answer, but yes. What is your inspiration? Okay, somebody asked that question already. I want to know your story. Oh, this is like intense question. I want to know your story of where are you from, where are you now, and how did you start writing? My story, like I said, born in Andhra Pradesh, grew up in England, studied media production, lived in South Korea for a year, traveled a bunch of the world. Why is my story like things I've done? I don't know. Living at home with my parents, of course, in this economy, obviously this is going to be happening. And I'm just trying to figure out what I want to be. I freelance in marketing, but I'm trying to figure out where to go next. There's a lot of things I want to do, but I also struggle with my mental health. So the fact that I say there are things like I have hope is means my mental health is in a good place. There are many times when it's not, and I don't know if I want to go on or where to put my feet. So figuring all of that out. Yeah, lots of people asking for introduction, so this is that. What am I up to? Freelancing, writing, trying to expand my practice right now. Trying to expand my practice as an artist. Let's see. I have a lot of like cute messages and people just saying that they love my poetry, so that's very sweet. I think I already answered like how did you get into poetry. I'll do like there's some like bio data questions. I don't know how much I want to give away, but I'm 25 years old. Yeah, between that I want to pursue content. I enjoy it, and I want to figure out what is happening in this game. Is there a space for me, especially because one of the biggest things I want to do is get over my insecurities. This is actively doing that, but YouTube, I think my enemy is like consistency, and YouTube requires that, so I am scared, but I'm gonna go for it. A couple of people asked me about my perception of love, and I don't know if it's an appropriate question to answer in like a self-introduction, but my perception of love is that it's cool. Like, I've never really been in love. I love friends, I love my family, I love people. Yes, I love lots of things. Romantic relationships, I've been somewhat averse to pretty much my whole life. It's very complicated. We could do a video about that if you guys would like. A person asked me like they're like lovelorn. Like I was like, I asked these questions, like ask me anything but maybe not romantic advice. I think I did reply to the person saying they're lovelorn by basically telling them that figure out, are you in love with the person or the idea of the person? I tend to be a big falls in love with the idea of the person kind of girl, and then go forward from there. You know, there's something beautiful to having crushes and having it be your own, and at the same time, if you can speak to someone and actually navigate something, I think life is too short. I've definitely, in getting to like the other side of my 20s, that is something I'm learning now, to put myself out there, tell people how you feel, figure things out and navigate things. I have Indian parents, so it's not 100% easy. Again, different video. Someone said I'm pretty, and I'm only addressing this because basically very difficult relationship with my self-image, particularly in the context of like gaining weight, losing weight. It's been a whole journey, been taunted about my weight and like my looks like my entire life by people who are supposed to love me. So it puts me in a very tricky position, and when I get responses like that online, I get very scared very quickly. I end up thinking like, oh, you only think that because you're perceiving me through a camera. You only think that because you see me like this. The reason I'm looking there is I can see myself. But yeah, and then I'm like, don't you see like my massive double chin or droops? None of these things that I find unattractive in somebody else. But yeah, we're always our worst critic and the harshest to ourselves. But I'm trying to get over it, trying to respond with a thank you. I will wrap up the video. I don't know how long have I been? Like 10 minutes. Okay, I'm gonna have to cut it, so it's not gonna be a crazy long video, but a lot of people have been messaging me for advice on writing poetry, inspiration, blocks, and I think when you're inspired by someone else's work or you see it dance, there is admiration, and then there is, why does something I write not come out like this? And I have a sort of layered answer. Firstly, everyone's writing style is their own, but so is perception. You know, what you read and think, oh my god, this is like magic, this is bliss, could be someone else looking at it and going, what is this? Like, why did they write this? I hate this poem, blah blah blah, you know. So it's all about perception, and it's the same with your work. You could look at your own work and think, I don't like this, but sometimes it's not until somebody else reads it and says, this is incredible. And I know for a fact that's been true for me many times. I've put out work because I'm actively in the practice of getting over myself, but I don't particularly like that piece of work, but then there's so many people that end up liking it, and I'm like, oh, what, like, this is cool. So yeah, a part of writing and sharing your work is you're just never gonna know, so do not be your worst critic, and do not envy others either. Like I always say this, envy to some extent is a very healthy emotion, but to another extent, it's not the most amazing thing because it can like stop you from putting yourself out there, taking chances, allowing yourself to be wrong, which is a very big thing, by the way. I think the whole part of being a writer or an artist is get used to the idea of being a failure and then fail fast and fail upwards. And again, no pressure. It doesn't always look like that, but you learn a lot. Your failures as a creative teach you so much, so do not be afraid. And yeah, in terms of asking me for feedback personally, it's become a little bit difficult lately. I just get a lot of DMs, a lot of messages about poetry, and I also just want to tell people, like, while I really admire that, my opinion isn't the be all, the end all. You know, I can encourage people, but I've met some great poets already, and I'm sure your work will be loved and appreciated. And even if it doesn't, really ask yourself, like, what do you make your art for, and would you keep making it even if nobody was looking? I've been on the internet for many years. Like, I'd say I kind of started late, but like 5-6 years of sharing, and I've only started sharing work about 2.5 years ago. So 2.5 years of like sharing work before one poem took off. And who knows how many months it will be before another poem gets shared or loved, or that becomes something that could mean, like, I'm like, oh, I could maybe make an income off of like being a poet, which is a wild thing. Like, I cannot imagine that right now, but I always ask myself, would I do it when no one's looking? And the answer is yes, which is why I'll continue to do it. Bigger conversation again. Anyways, thank you for listening to my little spiel, my Q&A. I hope I answered a few things. If you've got more questions, content ideas, discussions you want to have, please leave a comment down below. And of course, please like, subscribe and share. This is going to be beautiful. This journey, I hope. I think my setup is going to look similar most of the time. I might change the flowers because obviously they wilt, they're fresh flowers. But yeah, let's see how it goes. Welcome to Parvani's playlist, and I don't know, I hope I'm gonna be okay. Pardon me sharing this. One more thing, if you've stuck around this far, thank you so much. I am doing a giveaway of my poetry collection. The rules are on my social pages, so go check those out. Whether you're in India or the UK, haven't decided yet at the time of filming this video whether the giveaway is going to be in America as well, but you'll get a copy of about 70 poems that I wrote between the ages of 13 to 23 years old, which is madness. And yeah, it's gonna be very cool and fun. I have a couple of little things I'd love you to do to enter the giveaway, but nothing crazy. I just want to get to know you guys, and we'll see how that goes. Bye guys. Really, I'm so grateful. Thank you for everything, and yeah, take care. Have a lovely morning, evening, night, and come back at some point to watch me. Oh god, imagine if I